yes, welcome back to another video, guys. That's right, today we're back to talk about The Flash. Now, I'm coming into this review without any notes. I haven't got my iPad, so we're going to just see how this goes. I've also just woken up from a nap, so excuse me if I seem a bit drained. I literally got about half an hour of sunlight left to film it this evening, so I'm doing it now, because why not? Let's get this review out there. Yeah, let's crack on. The Flash sees Barry Allen coming to terms and struggling with the current life he's leading and the unfair justice system that is treating his dad. And he decides, now that he has learned how to travel back in time, to travel back in time and save his mum and save his father from this unjustified prison sentence. And in doing so, he messes a lot of stuff up with time, and this movie is born. Yeah, that's probably the best way I can do it without spoiling it. For those of you who have read the Flashpoint comic, it's sort of that. I haven't actually read it, but I know more or less exactly what happens in it, after my friends telling me and seeing other versions of this play out through animated movies, and even the TV show touched on it a couple times, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the TV show. Anyway, it's a beloved comic book, and this film just borrows from it. And for those who are really upset because it isn't that comic book series, I asked them, did they love Civil War? Because that is nothing like the Civil War comic, which I have read. So I really don't try not to get upset when these comic books aren't based off the inspiration towards what they were written to. So I don't mind that myself, but this film, you got to treat it as it's kind of a reset point. James Gunn's been bragging about this movie. Loads of people were bragging about this film before it came out. And I don't normally say this, but I really do wonder how much those people were paid to brag about this movie. Because, you know, it was like, this is like the greatest comic book movie ever, people were saying. No. It's not even the greatest one in the DCU. There's a few that are better than it. Look, let's start with the positives on this. Ezra Miller is a hard act to talk about nowadays. The man has put himself in a massive hole, full of controversy, and he's, you know, it's hard to like the guy or get on board with him. His performance in this movie is a thing of two sides, because as people know from the trailers, there are two versions of Barry Allen. The Barry Allen that we meet at the start, the one that carries on from Justice League, he does a good job portraying Barry Allen there, I think. I think he's an interesting character. He's got this quirky awkwardness and has a couple funny moments. The other Barry Allen that we meet is insufferable. I know he is meant to be annoying, but my God, is he insufferable. His laugh, everything about him, awful. I hate the way that Ezra Miller chose to portray that character. It is just bad. The actual pacing of the movie is fine. It doesn't feel overly long. It doesn't feel too short, I guess, even though the runtime could have been extended a little bit, I think, to clear some issues I have up. And some of the fight scenes are fun. You know, I think they get the speedster stuff done really well, because obviously he's fighting Kryptonians, as you can see from the trailers, with Zod's return, and a lot of the speedster stuff's done really well. And I think people who love nostalgia, people who grew up with those Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman films, are going to enjoy that stuff. I didn't grow up with them, so I don't have as much nostalgia towards them, but I think people that like that Batman are going to get a good kick out of a few things in this movie. Unfortunately, I think this movie is a giant sloppy mess. Now, I give it credit for trying to do something different, to trying to be unique. It pushed itself to try and do a multiversal movie. Which is, you know, it's a lot better than like Black Adam and Shazam 2. They just done nothing. They were just fluffy, average movies, and they just chucked them out as quick as possible. I give this movie credit over them because it tried. It at least had some balls to it. But unfortunately, it is just a sloppy mess. People are saying it's just the third act. I disagree. I say it's the whole movie. The whole movie is a sloppy mess. You go from the start of the movie where you're thrown into Barry Allen's life, and not only are you just opening up with like some fight scenes and him with other Justice League members, but it is just throws you so quickly into the whole scenario of like him being upset about what happened to his mum and the current state of things that are happening with his dad. There's really no build up to it. And after Justice League, because in Justice League you see none of that really, It all feels very forced, very quick. And then when the multiversal stuff happens, it just, the whole movie sort of explodes. It goes down a plot line which I was hoping we wouldn't see again. The cliche of someone coming to terms with, you know, learning their powers and stuff. It's like, I didn't want to be doing this in this movie. We've seen this so many times done before. The Michael Keaton Batman stuff, he felt so unnecessary to this movie, to be honest. It's like he just sort of rocked up, like, yeah, sure, I help, and then that's it. He just goes. It just almost felt like, yeah, we've got nothing else to pull people into this movie, so let's just stick Michael Keaton in there. If I was a big Michael Keaton fan, I am a fan of him. He's a good actor. If I was a fan of his Batman, I actually think I'd be disappointed. Like, with No Way Home, for example, I feel like Toby and Andrew served a much bigger purpose to that movie than Michael Keaton does in this one. The Supergirl stuff, she felt like a C-list character when she was advertised as an A-list character. She still just pops up, like, yeah, I help, and then she just, like, literally walks off screen and she's gone as well. And then the conclusion to this movie, that final fight scene, all the stuff with Zod, my God, it looked so bad. Like, I don't like ragging on CGI. I like just pinpointing things. Like Ant-Man and Ant-Man Quantumania, for example. Like, I know that, like, MODOK looked terrible, and I'll call that out. But there's a lot of people that work on the effects who do a really good job, and they work really hard. So I don't like to say the whole film looked bad. But the whole fight scene with Zod looked terrible. The setting they chose was diabolical. Whenever you had the two flashes on screen, or, you know, Zod and Supergirl, or Batman, or whatever, everything in the background looked awful. It looked like PS3 graphics. And yeah, Michael Shannon returning as Zod as well. What an absolute waste of time that was. He had no presence to the film. He didn't feel near as threatening as he did in Man of Steel. And yeah, then you get to the end of the film, and I did actually like the ending. I didn't like the villain of the movie much, which I won't spoil. But I did like the actual ending of the movie, and the end credit scene was fine. But yeah, this film was a giant mess, to be honest. It has its fun moments, for sure, and I respect it more than things like Black Adam, Shazam, you know, and those very kind of mediocre movies, because it tried to do something. But there's a lot of wasted opportunity in this, and a lot of wasted opportunity for the entire DCU. Because I want to say this before I wrap up. Ben Affleck's Batman is the most underrated Batman ever. He is so cool. It's just a shame that he's always in these naff movies. I think Ben Affleck is genuinely maybe the perfect casting for Bruce Wayne. Just these movies, they just don't know what to do with him. And even his costume in this one kind of sucks, which is a shame. But he was great. He was great. He was better than the Michael Keaton one. Shoot me. You know, he actually used his tools a bit more and stuff. He seemed a bit more Batman-y. I don't know. I'm probably going to get some slack off the Keaton fans there. As I say, Keaton was good in the movie, though. He was good. Just seemed a bit, like, forced in. Which is how a lot of this movie felt, to be honest. Yeah, it was fine. It's not one of the best comic book films by any means. It's not one of the best comic book films from this year. It's not one of the best comic book movies just ever. It's not one of the best movies this year. It's just very average. It's very average. There's a good film in here. You can really feel it, but the film is just a mess. The editors didn't do a great job with this one, I don't think. And the fights with Zod, man, so bad. And I feel so bad for Michael Shannon, because I loved Zod in Man of Steel. He's one of the most underrated villains we've had in these blockbuster superhero films, and yeah, rubbish in this film. Anyway, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's okay. It's just okay. It's middle of the road. As I say, it's better than a few things DC have done recently with Shazam, Black Adam, blah, blah, blah. But I'm really looking forward to this James Gunn universe, because I'm getting really bored of having painfully average, mediocre DC movies. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like the video, and leave a message down below. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Maybe you liked it more. Maybe you disliked it more. Hey, let's find out together. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. And yeah, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.